So one of the things that is really throwing people off is the act of sacrifice, is offering up sacrifices. And it's just really funny when this word is used in the church. It's determined as, okay, the pastor is asking the congregation to pay their sacrifices, and that is okay to be said in the church. But when it comes to spirituality and you talk about sacrifices, and everybody looks at you like, what are you doing? So I thought it wise that, okay, you know what? Let me go to the same Bible, walk through Genesis to Revelation, and show you the multiple times that sacrifices were used as tools for certain things in the dimensions. This is what I want to do in the next couple of weeks. Just tackle the subject sacrifices. Aquaba. Welcome to the Marinated Truth. This is Spirit Friday. My name is Kojo Bento. I'm always humbled to come your way. I get excited and I'm ready for today because I want to talk about a subject that spooked a lot of people off. And I thought it's only right that I deal with it, right? Because I'm in that field. So as we talk about sacrifices, we need to understand that this word has a meaning to it. We need to understand that every time you speak the word or you say the word or you alter this simple word sacrifices, it means that there's something, it has a meaning. It's an English word, and whenever you want to talk about this word, you know without a doubt that this word is meaning a particular thing. You cannot throw this word around and make this word fabricated to mean anything else but what it is. So we're going to look at some English definitions of the English word sacrifice, and also before anything, let me give thanks to the Creator, our Father Odumankuba, for always showing His love. I also want to give thanks to the Mother Earth as I see her. We give thanks to the powers that be, the power of the air, the power of the earth, the power of the waters above and beneath, the power of the fire dimension. We give thanks to Esi Ajo Abene Awuku Yao Efi Amen. We give thanks to now Faith Jahiman and Amframa for always, and also all our ancestors and all our elders that are moved on to the next realm, who are constantly watching us and to make sure, just to make sure, they'll do whatever it takes to make sure we stay on the right path. Welcome to Spirit Friday. So I want us to look at some definitions of the word sacrifice. An act of slaughtering an animal or person or surrendering a possession as an offering to a deity. As an offering to a deity. Christ's offering of himself in the crucifixion is considered a sacrifice. Verb. Offer or kill as a religious sacrifice. Give up something valued for the sake of other considerations. So these are the definitions to the terminology sacrifice. Basically, surrendering something that is of value to you. You cannot say this is my sacrifice if the sacrifice means nothing to you. Your sacrifice got to mean something. It has to come with value. Sacrifice is not a surplus. Sacrifice is not when you have excess. Okay, let me take this tiny bit. No. Sacrifice is when you exchange something that is very valuable for another thing that is also valuable. The higher your sacrifice, the deeper it goes. I say it again. The higher your sacrifice, the deeper it goes. You don't expect that you offer a very inexpensive sacrifice and then you place a demand on this sacrifice for something that is worth life itself. It doesn't work like that. So the weight of your sacrifice determines the depth that you go into. So when we consider this word and we come into spirituality, a lot of people use Christianity to justify what spirituality is. That is definitely wrong. Christianity cannot justify spirituality. Spirituality can justify Christianity to say whether Christianity is on a spiritual path or not. But Christianity, because Christianity or religion as a whole is a lower version of what spirituality is about. So when we come into spirituality, sacrifice is dissected into so many dimensions. But in Christianity, we know the ultimate sacrifice is the blood of Jesus. Jesus' blood is the ultimate sacrifice that ever had to be done, and nobody had to ever do a sacrifice again, according to the New Testament, according to the Christian Bible. But when you take the whole Bible at large, then you will find out that there are a lot of passages that had situations about sacrifices, and every time the sacrifice was offered, something happened. And today, I want to take you all the way back to Genesis and address the first sacrifice in your Holy Bible. Let's go into Genesis. In order not to be biased towards anyone and to be honestly fair or totally fair, I'm going to read from two versions. One is the Message Bible, which is like the go-to Bible in our generation, and also from the direct translation from Hebrew to English. You know, this is a correction of the King James, because King James stole or copied his way from Rottingham and a bit from William Tyndale. So this is actually a correction to King James' work. I start from Genesis 4. It says, and Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and she said, I have brought forth a man with the help of Yahweh. Then she bore again, and this time his brother Abel was born. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep. I've told you, every time you read the scriptures, and from the beginning, it begins to tell you, even before the story started, it begins to tell you what everybody does. Then you should know there's an agenda. There's a reason why they are explaining the scenario even before they get into it. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And on one of Yahweh's Sabbath, so there's the correction right there. And on one of Yahweh's Sabbath, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering, and the fruit of the ground, an offering of the fruit of the ground to Yahweh. So you should know, a lot of people read this like they were just born and they died the next minute. No. At least Abel was over 100 years old when he died. So these two have been in existence for a long time. And these two have been observing the feast of Yahweh. You know, so one of the Sabbaths, they decided to give an offering. And this offering, one decided to give it in this particular way because he felt that this is my strength, and another gave it in this other way but went the extra mile. But one thing you must remember or understand, these sacrifices were done on altars. So the first place that we address the issue of sacrifice is the same place that we address the issue of an altar. Okay? And Abel, besides bringing his offering of the fruit of the ground, also brought a sacrifice of the firstling of his flock and their fat. And he honored Abel and his offering. But he did not honor Cain and his suffering. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. So first and foremost, if there is no criteria, then why would Yahweh be upset with one offering and be okay with the other? If there are no criteria, if there are no standards. So this shows you that there's definitely something in the pipeline that is depicting that Cain is of an inferior sacrifice and Abel is of a proper sacrifice. Because if these structures were not down, How then do you sin? How then do you break the rules if there's no set rule? So at the time of Cain and Abel, there were laws, there were rules. According to this is all according to the scriptures and the lexicon. So we move to the verses and it says, so Yahweh said to Cain, why are you angry? Why are you downcast? If you do well, if you do righteousness, you will you not be accepted? If you do not righteousness, sin is crouching at your door. The desire to sin is with you, but you must overcome it. You see, I can break this down to so many dimensions, but it says what? If you do righteousness, so why, if you do good, if you do what is right, simply said, if you do righteousness, why was there a need for God to tell Cain that if you do what is right, if you do what is right? So the sacrifice Cain and Abel were offering was not a sin offering. It was not a sin offering. This was their thanksgiving sacrifice that they were offering up to the Creator or to the God of Israel for gratitude and everything He's done for them. And He said, the God of Israel said, if you do righteousness, I will do good. But if you do horrible, then I don't know what becomes of you. Because the desire of sin as resides in you, the flesh, I've spoken about it, the flesh, the lower self, the desire to sin. Now Cain talked with Abel, his brother. So this conversation went on. How many of you thought the minute they offered a sacrifice, Cain killed Abel immediately? It didn't happen like that. It happened, they went separate ways. Cain had a conversation lesson. Now Cain talked with Abel, his brother. It came to pass when they were spread abroad that Cain rose against Abel, his brother, and Cain. So when they were spread abroad, you understand? So the killing of Abel, according to the scriptures, was not done immediately. Time elapsed. You understand? So after a couple of years, preferably, he comes back and says, you know what? I remember what you did. I'm going to slay you down. Right? Then Yahweh said to Cain, where is your brother? And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So Cain kills Abel. God of Israel didn't really react because he kills. Now the Mother Earth is reacting, and the Mother Earth is demanding life for a life. Because once you are existing in this dimension, everything that has got to do with your flesh is coming from the Mother Earth. So anybody that tries to mess with this flesh would have something to say to Mother Earth. On your father, them, you understand what I'm saying? You cannot just take up. The Mother Earth would demand every single life you take in this dimension. And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. So the earth has opened its mouth to receive the blood sacrifice. The earth from nowhere opens up its mouth and says, I got you. I got you. Let me read from the message a bit. Let me read from the message. What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground. From now on, you would get nothing but curses from this ground. From now on, you would get nothing but curses. So who is actually releasing the curses on Cain? Who has that power? You get what I'm saying? The Mother Earth is the one that is controlling. But curses from this ground, from now on you get nothing but curses. From meaning the ground, the earth has turned her back to Cain. You will be driven from this ground that has opened its arms to receive the blood of your murdered brother. 12. You would farm this ground, but it will no longer give you the best. You'll be homeless wanderer on earth. Listen, when the earth is against you, and this is all coming from a sacrifice. The earth is just one element. You exist because the 4 elements were put together to create you. So if one element, the earth, the waters, they decide to go against you, where are you going to hide? Where are you going to run to? You understand? So the minute a sacrifice is invoked to the ground, the dimension or the element that is invoked at the particular hour would come and devour or consume the sacrifice and would act upon the sacrifice. The earth opened up her mouth, ready to devour. Listen, this is something that you cannot just stand overnight and say, I'm done. The earth is watching. The earth is monitoring. The earth is checking every single detailing. The earth is checking. There's not a single thing that is done on the face of the earth that the earth does not take records. The earth, our mother the earth, has records of every single deed. Even when you think you've burned them, our mother the earth has details to every single. Cain said to God, my punishment is too much. I can't take it. So basically, Cain goes ahead to say, listen, I'm done. This punishment too heavy. God placed a mark on it and said, nobody's there. So my question is, where is the consequences of killing the brother? Getting him out? But when it comes to the elemental beings, the Mother Earth will deal with you. This is Cain and Abel offering up a sacrifice on their altar. Not a sin offering. Not some directives. They sacrifice their sacrifice on an altar, which is the most important thing. So the terminology sacrifice is you offering. And if you want to stick to the explanations that is being given here, Cain offered the inferior. Abel offered the best. So of the two, which one would you take? You got what I'm saying? So don't jump into conclusions, but what I'm saying is that sacrifices has always been there. Sacrifices will always be there, and nobody can abort the sacrifice. Cain, when he was full of it, decided to hang his boot because nothing was clicking. When you lift up a sacrifice and you invoke the earth, the waters, the air, the fire dimension, they become witnesses to whatever that is going to transpire. So when the earth realized that Cain had just killed the brother and is trying to look sharp, the earth turned against Cain, not necessarily for the killing, but for the wickedness done in the heart. Because this thought is preconceived. Now, for you to be able to preconceive the death of your brother, that should tell you how disturbed you are. So immediately, Cain spilled the blood, the voice of God. This is what I don't get about scripture. This is what I don't get. Is it that the God of Israel loved to see people go through the mess? If you were going to show up if you're going to show up to punish, and God said to Cain, where is thy brother? God said, what have you done? The voice of your brother. Did God not see that Cain was going to kill the brother? Did he not see? So why show up after the incident had happened? Why not show up before the incident? Why? It's like watching a movie and the police always showing up when all the action is almost done. So it's very necessary that we understand that when Cain and Abel offered up the sacrifice, it had nothing to do with sin. Even when Cain killed Abel, Cain was sent away to go and do well. Cain was sent away to go and do well. Nothing else. He had a mark that says nobody can touch. That is protection. That is security. Sacrifices, like I said last week, is a tool. Right from the beginning, sacrifices were always done. And as we move along and as we move forward, and I don't want to crowd you with a lot of information, but let me leave you with this. It says what? You will find this ground, but it will no longer give it best to you. This is the significance of sacrifices. That you can activate your channels and have a conversation with the powers that be and say, if you take out my light, I don't know how I'm going through it. When you have a conversation. That's why I need you to have a conversation about the sacrifice. That the earth is not going to turn it back on me. If I must raise a sacrifice to ensure the earth is working for me and not against me, then I will certainly raise the sacrifice. Because it's so important. From the very beginning of the doctrine of the Bible, it tells you sacrifice. Because if you wanted them to stop, he would have showed up earlier. You got what I'm saying? The earth was demanding blood. Don't be in a hurry to kill a human being. Don't get yourself in all these rituals and all of that. Don't do that. Start investing time in yourself. Start connecting to this family, this platform. Connect to the Wednesday practicals. Connect to the Zoom meeting. We are tackling the I am course. Just breathe in the good air. And say to yourself, I have changed for the better. Just say, I have changed for the better. You understand? Say, I have changed for the... You say, you would farm this ground, but it will not help you, because a sacrifice was offered and you abused the sacrifice. Don't abuse the sacrifices on the altar of this house. Don't do it. I love you too much. I'm advising you, don't do it. So when we offer up sacrifices, we are not doing anything that Cain and Abel did. We are not doing anything that all the prophets and what have you in the scriptures did. When we say we are sacrificing, we acknowledge the powers that be, the creator, the mother earth, and all the power and the forces and the elements that ensures that our stay here is accommodatable. No worries. But listen, it's better you sacrifice than to live in fear of something you have no business being afraid of. Have a great time. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Please, if you haven't hit the subscription button, make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure You tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, because this family is growing. Stay blessed. See you guys soon.